Hello again, Jesse here from the Financial Toolbox, and I thought to myself, what better place to describe a living benefit than in front of a beautiful living wall? So today I'm going to answer the question, what is disability insurance? And I'll answer it from my best-selling book, The Financial Toolbox. In fact, in my book I describe all the different tools that you'll need to build a proper financial plan. And each tool is represented by a tool that you'll find in a toolbox. The tool that best represents disability insurance is a clamp. And like a clamp, disability insurance will temporarily hold your life together, hold your dignity together as you're recovering from an illness or an accident. It'll keep your finances together in an unfortunate situation. Remember, death is easy, disability is expensive. It's no secret that when we're disabled, we're a lot more expensive than when we are dead or even working, because when you're working, you've got money coming in. When you're disabled, you don't. So things become expensive very quickly. In fact, ask yourself, if you're a business owner, what's the most likely health issue that could prevent the doors of your business from opening again, or having to close the doors of your business? That's going to be a disability. So let's talk about what it is. A disability can be any illness or accident. It could be physical or mental illness, anything that will prevent you from going back to work and earning an income. Many people don't realize this, but the Canadian safety net has holes. And it's up to us individually, as business owners and employees, to make sure that we protect ourselves, our family, and our future on our own against any illness or accident that can come our way. If you rely on the government, they've got some things in place, such as employment insurance or disability through CPP or even workers' compensation. But it doesn't take long to see that if you were just going to rely on this, your life would take a dramatic turn for the worse. They really don't cover you for that much. In fact, a study done by Sun Life Canada showed, this was just last year, showed that 78% of respondents said they had not planned for a health event impacting their life. That's almost 80% of people out there. That's a huge figure. And 42% of them said they had faced a financial hardship because of such an event. That's tremendously large, that so many people had to go through that struggle because of poor preparation. In fact, a good friend of mine, Barry Spilchuk, a co-author of A Cup of Chicken Soup for the Soul, and the gentleman who was gracious enough to write a tremendous foreword for my book, he is a big proponent for people buying disability insurance because he feels that it saved his life. In fact, when he was diagnosed with cancer, his doctors told him to get his affairs in order, and he felt a sense of comfort, basically because he had taken out a disability policy way back in 1986. He feels that this helped him to heal because it took the financial pressure off of him to actually get better. He was very grateful to receive the $2,700 he got per month until he recovered, and without it, he feels that he would have been destitute and homeless, because at the time his wife was a homemaker and he was self-employed, so there was not entitlement to any kind of government assistance for him and his family. That's how important this type of a product is. In fact, have you heard the story about a machine in the basement? The machine in the basement is an interesting story, and I'll share it with you now. Let's say you had a machine that was tucked away downstairs in your basement, and it was pumping out $80,000 a year. Every day it pumped out a little bit more to the tune of $80,000. What would you do to protect that machine? If it was in my basement, I would ultimately probably black out all the windows so no one could see inside and no one could take it, and I'd make sure that everything was fortified in my house, and I'd make sure that I had all the best care for it, the best maintenance, once a year or even more, the highest priced oils to keep this machine running. It's an interesting thing because ultimately, what would you insure that machine in the basement for? I ask this question to my clients, and I get a different answer every time. A lot of people say that they would insure this machine for $80,000 because that's what it's pumping out. Well, I try to direct them to thinking that it's not going to be an $80,000 loss. If this machine stopped working, it would be a much greater loss. In fact, if you had a reasonable chance of keeping this machine running for the next 15 or 20 years, the actual loss to you before inflation would be somewhere close to $2 million. It's a tremendous thing to factor in that level of loss simply from losing this machine. Well, think of it this way. You are that machine in the basement. On a very unemotional level, you represent what that machine does. A $2 million income over the life for you, your family, and the goals that you have. It's amazing. Not many people think that a disability today can cost them upwards of $1 million or $2 million down the road. But that's an important thing to remember, and I strongly suggest if you haven't addressed this type of exposure to risk, please address it. Don't be like the 78% of people who haven't addressed this, like that Sun Life study. Take a proactive approach. Get everything set up. If you have questions, or if you're not sure if you've got the proper setup in place, drop me a line. In fact, go to my website, thefinancialtoolboxguru.com, and email me from there. I'd be happy to sit with you, look to see if you've got the proper coverage, if it needs to be upgraded, or if you need coverage at all for you, your family, and your business. Let's make sure you're protected. Jesse from the Financial Toolbox, signing off.